as part of this Jubilee Year of Mercy and our diocesan-wide goal of evangelization, St. Teresa's Parish in South Hadley offered a unique event recently featuring two people. One grew up Protestant and married a Catholic. The other grew up Catholic but never really practiced his faith. Together they came back to the church. Carolee McGrath now has the story of a journey home.
And actually both of them come from totally different paths, I should say.
It was a local spin-off of the popular EWTN show The Journey Home at St. Teresa of Lisieux Parish in South Hadley. Two parishioners, Sandy Murray and Stan Bohall, shared their conversion stories up on the altar on the mock television set as Deacon Tom Gaudreault asked questions of how they came back to the church. Sandy grew up Protestant. She actually became a Catholic more than 30 years ago when she married her husband, John. Did it take a while?
It did. You know, it took about 5 years of thinking. I had always been a Protestant, and when I married a Catholic, and we raised our children Protestant. And then, you know, as they hit about high school age, we kind of just stopped going to church. Life got really busy, life got really stressful, and it just didn't seem as important. And as the years went by, I really started to feel empty, and I knew something was missing.
Sandy began searching on the internet.
I ended up on Catholic Answers, and I just realized one day, reading about the true presence in the Eucharist, as I read the answer, I thought, well, I believe that. And I kind of caught my breath a moment because I realized if I believe that, I'm a Catholic.
So Sandy went back to church 2 years ago, and her husband John, who was raised a Catholic but stopped going, followed her home. Now John is hoping to become a deacon.
On Ash Wednesday 2 years ago, I came through the doors of this church and got my ashes, and I went home and I said to my husband, I'm going to go back next Sunday. And he looked at me and said, I'll go with you. God had been working on him too.
The Conversion Story program was part of St. Teresa's Soup and Saints event, where parishioners eat a light lunch of soup and then listen to a speaker talk about a particular saint. But the Spiritual Life team, who organized the event, decided to switch the lineup.
We decided to do a takeoff on the journey home because it had come to our attention that we had two parishioners in our church who had really amazing conversion stories to tell.
I grew up in the Methodist tradition. My family was in the Methodist tradition, and I have always been on a journey.
Stan Bohall was a Baptist minister for more than 30 years. He and his wife raised their two sons in the Baptist church. In 2010, Bohall left and became an Episcopalian, although he said he was still searching. Bohall added that the writings of C.S. Lewis, including the Chronicles of Narnia, had a big influence on him.
The longing that prompted Lewis to become a Christian, I recognized in my life as well.
What about the Eucharist?
I love the Eucharist. That's part of what drew me into the church, and the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament is all a part of that. It was a journey to go from the Baptist position of memorial to the position of transubstantiation, the real presence of Christ in the Blessed Sacrament. So over time, it became a natural experience for me.
Michelle Scanlon, who is on St. Teresa's Spiritual Life team, says both Murray and Bohall are inspiring witnesses.
I think we as Catholics who already are in the faith, we learn from people who have gone through their own journeys. I mean, our education as a Catholic doesn't stop just because we become a Catholic. It continues, and we find these stories very powerful.
Both Sandy and Stan hope that their story will inspire fallen away Catholics, other Christians, and even those who've never stepped foot in a church to listen to Jesus calling them. To all those people who are searching, who are going to be watching this story, what can you say to them?
I would say go to the Mass, follow your heart. If you sense that the Lord is leading you into the Catholic Church, go with that and get to know some Catholic brothers and sisters and spend some time listening to the Lord's voice.
And both Sandy and Stan say they're so grateful that they did listen to God calling them. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And Carolee tells us that both Sandy and John are grateful for the experiences they had that led them to this path of conversion. Sandy officially came back to the church in 2014, and Stan made his confirmation last July.